Hello, Justin, with another crossover minute. A handful of back-to-backs here today. Same setting, same look, same everything. So you'll see a few of these if you watch more than one here in these ones that are in consecutive order here. Don't know how many there's going to be. Might be a few more here, 4 or 5. I don't know. See how long it lasts. This one, oh man, this one is one of those handful. I guess there's a lot, but this one especially is one of those that is really near, very near to my heart as far as subject matter, life experience, working with other people as well, and just the illumination and the revolution within, and the transformation, the change, and the insight, and the growth, and the oh my goodness. You know, idolatry is so selfish, and it's so deceiving. It wants what it wants, and it will find a way, either bluntly or connivingly, to bring you to sacrifice anything, minimally at least, to get it, to have it. And if you can't get it at the time, if you can't have it at the time, you will be mildly or deeply or overwhelmingly obsessed with it. And the obsession does not have to be what we stereotypically think of as obsession. Hey, we're being brutally just honest here, okay? Let's not put on a facade. Let's not say, well, I'm not this, I don't have that. Let's just strip everything away and just be really plain and clear. All the cute little things and the fogs and the stained glass paintings that we put on our mirrors and windows, mirrors of the heart and soul in our life, let's clear them off, and let's just be humbly honest. We can be honest with God right now, and honest with ourselves. We're not going to be able to change if we don't take the courage to find that place, that wherewithal within us, knowing that all we have to do is sit with God in this. It's safe. There's safety in this honesty. He already knows it anyway. So we're not fooling him. We're only fooling ourselves and maybe others. Not everyone, though, necessarily. Some people can see through even what we don't see about ourselves, or what we're trying to justify or write off or disprove or discredit or deny. Or say, no way, that could never be me. It's just foolish pride. It's just foolish. And then I use the word pride, and we don't even want to say, well, I'm not proud. Let's just be honest. Let's clear the slate, clear the mind, clear the heart, lay it all out, and call it for what it is. Now, the Bible's just, sometimes we feel like the language, modern language doesn't always match with the Bible. When we call something an idol, we feel like, boy, it's a big deal. Well, it is, but again, with respect to God's grace, this is a safe place of just being honest with ourselves, because this is a place that's covered. When it's in God's grace, we're covered by the blood of Jesus. We're covered in the safety and protection and forgiveness, the capacity to be forgiven and cleansed and healed and restored from these things. That is where we are when we get humble and honest with ourselves, with God. It is something that is the gateway to this healing and forgiveness. So, I want to cue in on one particular idol. This idol, as any, when it is in its place, its position of authority, its seat on the throne of our hearts, it will, whenever confronted, whenever infringed upon, it will demand that things that are supposed to be more important bow down to it, succumb to it, adjust to it, be compromised, be sacrificed, be given up or away partially or even completely. Health and well-being, spiritually or in the natural, our sleep, our rest, our mental peace, our morals, our values, our family, our relationships with them, our responsibilities to them, their needs, people's hearts and feelings in general. Exploiting our current desires or their desires. Not caring about what condition someone is in, or their vulnerability, or what it will look like in the long run. And bowing down to constructing and serving idols always leads to failure, if not complete destruction. This idol that I'm talking about is the idol labeled codependency, which is a type of idolatry of relationship. Now, it can be intimate relationships. It can be just as far as something that would lead on to marriage, or just close friendship, or just having someone close, some type of companionship. And this is such a big topic to me because it has been such a journey of freedom for me in this area, recognition, and beginning to surrender until I come to a place of real, true, complete surrender. And I see, as is often the case, when you come out, the more you come out of something, out from under some type of control or bondage or some type of thing, and I'm not talking about where it was not my fault. I build it up and I submit myself to it until it began to crush me, of course. But when you get free from something, your hindsight becomes more clear, more 20/20, and you begin to look and see a pattern. Or see the times and the moments, and you see more and more where God was or was not, and was pointing or giving a red flag, and we're blind to it, or we dismiss it, or we explained it away, or justified ourselves, or just would totally was like, well, we can handle it, or whatever our reasoning was, excusing. And we see with the sacrifices that we made, and at the time we said, well, we really love that person, or this or that. And I understand love being a sacrifice. I'm not saying that's not how love is, but there's a time and a place where loving someone in the context or in the state of heart and mind of codependency is actually toxic, unhealthy, both for us and the person that we're loving. And so there's multiple things in place, unhealthy boundaries and unhealthy choices, and just being intimately close to that person to begin with. And what starts to happen, the telltale signs, is when it comes down to that person, that it may be out of fear of losing them, or out of just fear of being alone in general, or whatever is driving that codependency, that willingness to put that person in that context, that relationship just in general, where God is supposed to sit. Even if we think or perceive something is from God, if we don't have a prepared heart for it, it can become an idol. Anything can become an idol. Some of the idols in my life have been things from the very hand of God himself. Even spiritual gifts or whatever. The things that are so connected to the presence and spirit of God and even moving of God. And at the time, I didn't know the difference between the things of God and God himself. And so I was chasing gifts and signs and not God's heart. I'm supposed to be chasing his heart. Even though I can earnestly desire the gifts, but I'm not supposed to be chasing them. They're supposed to be chasing me. They're supposed to be following me. These signs will follow those who believe. Just using that as an example. But back to this idol of codependency. It's the same thing. If God has truly given us something, or maybe a person, or a dream, or a passion of something, it will chase us down. It will find us. His goodness and mercy will follow us all the days of our life. But the Lord is our shepherd. He is the one we're following. Not these things he's either maybe promised us in his word, or through other ways that we feel like it may be him. And we may be wrong, but we may be right. It may actually be a promise from him. But either way, these things that we desire earnestly, or that we ask Him for and hope for, or things that He has already offered us or given us or put in our lives, if they are out of place, if we're chasing them, if we're clutching onto them, and I'm talking about real deal here. Because what if you have already married? What if you have kids? Those are gifts from God. What if you have something that you know for sure? What can we do? What can we do to make sure our heart is in a healthy place with that of stewardship? And as hard as this is to delineate a parent's love or a spouse's love for our spouse, for our kids, or whomever, however else, or pursuing a call from God in a job, a ministry, or a vocation, or something that has been given to us from God, a talent, a gift, in the natural or spiritual. There's a place to where we can prepare the wineskin of our heart to be so well readied for what He wants to truly pour through it, the new wine that is to steward and to be poured out for people, and to keep the wineskin from bursting. And sometimes for my life, having codependency has meant that I've been putting other people in situations they shouldn't have been put in, and they trusted me, or they allowed, me to engage with them in that way, whether it be a special relationship with a lady, or a ministry opportunity, or other things. They trusted me, and maybe they were vulnerable, because maybe some of them knew, it's like, I don't know if I'm ready for this, or I don't know if this is the right situation, or I don't know if I'm in a place in my life where I'm ready for a relationship, or ready for this ministry moment, or whatever, But I persuaded them, or I was really nice and they were respectful and giving, or I was really caring. It's like, okay, I don't really come across a person like this every day, maybe, and so let's, or I'll give it a try, or and I put them in a situation that was disadvantaged from the beginning. And so it wasn't fair of me. I was selfish for doing that. I was wrong because I wanted that relationship. I wanted to be with that person. I liked the attention I got from them. I liked our connection, our friendship, or that ministry opportunity, or that situation, or if I could go there and do this, and I love to preach or lead a group or do this and that, be a part of this type of organization or whatever else we're talking about. And so I'm like, just because I like that so much and I want that, on a codependency level, it skews my decision making and my judgment, and therefore my conduct, and every time without fail, it has led to failure, if not some form of destruction. And the only way I can break that cycle is just being honest with myself. I quit patty caking and playing around saying, well, no, of course I don't have idols, or of course, God promised me this and that, so I just keep finding the wrong situation, or nobody this or that. No. I have to, at a certain point, with grace, with love, and with respect for myself and for other people, just be brutally honest. It's okay. It's okay to admit, I've just been wrong all these years, or all this time, or in those situations, one or many, however it's been. And then turn to God and say, yes, I was wrong. And I don't want to be like that anymore. I don't want to be codependent anymore. I don't want to, for me, the idol was marriage, having a true, genuine companion, life companion. And that would lead unto marriage, because that's the way I see companionship. I don't want us to just sit around without a full commitment of heart. I want a full commitment and submitting to God in matrimony, and whatever that would mean, kids wise, ministry wise, family wise, work wise, living wise, where, and all this and that. But you see, how many times? I'll answer you that question right now, every time. But how many times have I been in a situation, and I know my heart, my values, and my morals, and my standards, of being pure, outside of, being pure from, outside of marriage, not being, whatever, whether it be physically, intimately, or whether it be what places I go or things I engage with or whatever, personally with the person as well as outwardly out in public, whatever, And I've kept to that for years, except whenever I've had an idol in my stewardship and an opportunity for compromising came about, my codependency led me to a place where I didn't want to hurt or potentially lose this person, so I allowed something to happen or allowed something to be compromised. Health, well-being, purity, morals, feelings, responsibilities, family, job, other things, whatever it may be, for the sake of coddling this person, situation, relationship, connection, to make sure I don't lose it. When ironically, if I would have had God as my codependency, I would have said, no, don't do that. I'm not going to allow that, and we're not going to go there, or we're not going to do this, we're not going to have this, either personally or out public or whatever else. I'm not going to do this thing, or I'm going to say no to this ministry opportunity or this situation that God has not called me to, or that is this or that, or that I know my motive is for this, and so no, I'm going to say no to that, when I get involved with that situation or that person or whatever. Ironically, that's when I probably 90-some% of the time would have been actually most respected, and I actually probably possibly would have helped that other person or situation to be really ministered to see a great example of how to really walk this out in a godly way, to be a great example of a man of God that is keeping healthy boundaries and purity and walking in circumspectly, and then being a good leader, servant leader to the woman or to the person, to the ministry setting or the situation or the organization or whatever it is, or the church, and being able to be even more trusted and possibly even followed, and said, you know what, that's the type of person I want to be with and be like, and submit to, or trust, or link with, or work with, or serve with, or whatever, that type of thing. And or the person would have said, okay, you're not I want this and you don't want that. Okay, fine. I would have weeded out, someone who just I shouldn't have been associated with to begin with. That's the first irony. Then another irony I discovered after really giving this to God, giving this idol of companionship to God, I discovered that it doesn't mean I have to not desire it and not cherish that thought or desire of having that. It just means that it doesn't have a hold of me anymore, and it doesn't skew my judgment anymore. I can say no to the things that I need to say no to. I can say boundaries to the things that need to be boundaried. Walls, things that need walls. Boundaries, filter, and open door to the right situation, right time, with discretion and with patience. And the other thing I discovered is that I'm able to fully, as a man, as an adult man, I'm able to pursue God and His vision, His calling, without having distraction, without a patchwork, little leaves on the pond, pebbled type road where I'm hopscotching from here and then jumping over here and then jumping way over here, chasing people and things instead of God. Now, chasing God may lead someone like that, or there may be, however, but not chasing people and things and calling it God anymore, or trying to find or see God in it and say, well, let me chase this because I can say it's God, but I also know I'm getting this out of it, or I'm chasing this person or this situation or this opportunity in the process. You see what I'm saying? I want to be a type of person that's able to chase God just for God and trust Him to provide all the rest, all the wraparound. Seeking truly, what does it mean to seek first the kingdom of heaven and His righteousness? And then all these other things will be added. Instead of seeking these other things, but also wanting to wrap the kingdom around it, or say, well, this is kingdom business, or God's here, I get this though. So see, because my great, and this is my story, my greater desire was the person than more than what God's purpose was in this place, or in this situation, or in this organization, or in this relationship, or in this. I had it backwards. I had to get that straightened up. And I wish not just because of what the subject matter is, but just in general, this and other things, other idols. I just wish I didn't make him wait so long on me to come to these places of surrender. But I tell you, it's so amazing to be free in these areas. And it's so amazing because I'm much more able to have true, peaceful, balanced joy and pleasure in his blessing, in his grace, in his gifting, in his things, and whatever he does, whatever I experience with people. I'm able to be, I notice, more fully present and enjoying and relishing in the relationships, connections I do have with people that aren't special, special companionships, while still having a fondness for that, and while also accepting that I put that idol on the altar and walked away from it, that I may never experience it in this life. I just may never experience it. It's a fact. I might not. That's what surrender is. It's not just laying it down, saying, God, I dedicate this to you. No, an idol has to be destroyed, it has to be surrendered. And then it's up to God whether it ever comes back. It truly is up to God whether it ever comes back to my life or not, because I gave it up. That's how you'd handle idols. You don't handle idols like you do something you're supposed to keep and have, like a marriage or a good marriage, and healthy, that your kids, or things that that you're that you're supposed to dedicate, to him and just offer to him, or lay at his feet and ask his help or trust him or submit or I'm talking about when it's an idol. Now, that being said, if your marriage partner, if your spouse is, or your kids or your parents or whomever else is an idol, and it's not someone you're supposed to just totally cut off, there's a layer, the idolic layer of that is what you surrender and walk away from, and then God helps you conduct yourself in that relationship or in that connection with the person in a way that's not on an idol level. You learn how to balance, and what it really is, honestly, is adjusting boundaries and priorities, and it's the boundaries is the key. Probably one of the keys. There's more to it, but for me, since I don't have that, then it's easier, I guess you could say, on one level, for me to give that to God and walk away from the whole thing. But then, while I still have a tender place in my heart for it, it's not got a hold of me anymore. Now I'm stewarding it and in its place. And so I also must make decisions that clearly, and maybe I feel like I'm especially speaking to men, and men that are growing in their walk and maybe struggling in some ways, or the younger men that, how to walk this out as you grow, that I'm able to make decisions where I'm really looking to God. And I'm not looking to someone and chasing someone and trying to call it God, or trying to turn back and say, oh God, will you please bless this, by the way. I'm actually seeking and pursuing a vision. I have a mission and a direction in my life that I'm going, that I'm doing, that God has called me, and I'm on that path. And then while I'm doing that, how would it feel for someone or something to come along and see a man on a mission? Is that not more of secure, trustworthy setting and circumstance for someone who is truly seeking to follow God? And it doesn't mean do it perfectly, but in as best as we can in our journey, that we're truly and perceiving God and perceiving his direction and following it, so that we can be more trustworthy to people and things that come along in our life, whether it be a companion, whether it be a ministry partner or a connection or an opportunity or whatever else. It doesn't have to be ministry, and anything can be ministry. It could be a regular job, secular job. It could be an actual ministry, paid or unpaid opportunity. It could be anything. But is that not where there's security? And I feel like I'm seeing Scripture a little more clearly when it talks to us men, particularly in some areas, and what it is to be a provider for our children's children, or what it means to be a servant leader, and to lay down your life for your wife like Christ did the church, and how the woman submits to the man. This is a whole different feeling with those scriptures, because there's a lot more security and trust and balance in this, and that's what I want to encourage and inspire and challenge us as men to be, to destroy this idol of codependency, which can only be put on an altar unto the Lord. Hands off, turn around, walk away from, and call upon God for fire. And let him destroy the idol. And if anything of the heart of that dream or desire was and is from him, the fire is just purifying it. It's purifying it from the idolic nature, and it's making it fit for us to be brought back into our lives as and if he so wishes and has planned. So the altar of fire, the altar where idols have to be laid upon and destroyed, it's a safe, wonderful place. It frees us, and whatever is truly of God comes back purified in the process. So embrace it. Embrace the opportunity. Take the opportunity. Incidentally, the flip side of the same coin of codependency is narcissism. I've spent time, I believe, on some other videos addressing that. And it's not just about others being narcissistic. It's about, some of us have been or are or have shades of narcissism. But it's also an idol when it comes to relationship, but it's all, or other things, but it's all about self instead of the other. We expect everything and sacrifice everything for the sake of ourselves and what we get and what we gain, and we expect that out of the other person instead of sacrificing everything of our values and all this for the other person at the total expense of ourselves as it comes to it. But either way, this idol of codependency is a rampant thing. I can't tell you how much I see it and have seen it over the years with people who have been in need, asking for help, prayer, advice, counsel. And the fact is, I've been one of those many people for many years that have had shades of it, and I've grown and gotten better and better at it and better at it, and it's been becoming, like layers of it. But there's a point where it's as if God was saying, Justin, when are you just going to lay it all down instead of just still having this layer of it that can still distort your decision making and your viewpoint and your engaging people in certain situations, or even if you withhold, you're still tormented within over and toil over certain. Justin, you can be free of that. And I finally said, okay, yes. I finally quit fighting God and resisting his spirit, and I gave in to him. Will you? What do you think? What do you think for yourself? What do you think for your heart's state of peace? What do you think? I'll pray for you. I'll pray for you right after I finish recording this. Till next time.